Are you thinking about downsizing, but you don't know where to start? Trust me, you are not alone. There are so many different reasons why people downsize. They might just be looking for a smaller home. They might want to lower their expenses, or they might just be looking for something different, just feeling like they want to change. In this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of downsizing, the different options when downsizing, and what the right fit is for you. My name is Morgan Putnam, and I'm a local real estate expert. Let's get into it. Thank you for watching the Omaha Insider YouTube channel. Please take a moment to subscribe so you are always the first to hear about what's going on in the Omaha Metro. First, we're going to start with talking about the pros and cons of downsizing. And one of the first pros is that you just have less maintenance by owning a smaller space. Usually it's less yard maintenance, less bedrooms, and less bathrooms, which also translates then into less stuff. Secondly, one of the big things is lower utility bills and lower taxes. Usually by downsizing, you're saving quite a bit on your tax liability every year for your property taxes. And then also just the utilities are lower. And sometimes that can really be the case if you're looking to move into a condo where they might cover some or all of your utilities in the HOA. And by downsizing, it also gives you the opportunity to reconsider where you want to live. Maybe you want to live closer to some family and friends, and this is giving you the excuse that you've been wanting to move closer to them. Some of the potential cons of downsizing is less storage space, which is obviously mediated by having a storage unit if you want. Another con is letting go of a long-time home. Oftentimes folks, when they're considering downsizing, they've maybe lived in their home for decades, have raised their family there, and it is just a big emotional decision. And it can be hard to find the right fit for exactly what you're looking for in your price range. Some of these options include an HOA. Sometimes folks have bad taste in their mouths from HOAs, and then there's obviously the expense of having an HOA. So those are just some of the pros and cons. And then next we're going to talk about the different options when you're considering downsizing. The first different option is obviously just buying a smaller home. This is the right move for folks who maybe aren't necessarily wanting a lot of support that an HOA provides, but are wanting just a smaller space to have to maintain. They want those lower utility bills. They want the lower property tax liability, but they still want a ton of freedom and their own options to do whatever they want with their space. Oftentimes I see folks in this stage, they're maybe moving from a 2 or 3 story house and are wanting a ranch style house. There are a lot of different options in Omaha and really throughout the entire metro where you can find these smaller homes. I've worked with quite a few folks who have lived out west or raised their kids out west, and then they want to move back into the city. They want to be closer to the different entertainment options that Omaha has to offer. And so they are looking maybe in Exarban or Dundee. And then there are obviously a lot of different options in the suburbs and in the sprawl for finding that single family home that you might want. So the next step would be to be moving into a villa. So a villa is a single family home. So it feels and functions a lot like just a smaller ranch. Oftentimes they're ranch style homes. A villa tends to have a smaller lot, and there is usually an HOA involved that mows the yard, clears out the snow, and includes trash service. So it's pretty limited HOA, and the HOA usually isn't super involved, but it still offers that ability to be able to leave if you want without having to worry about any of the exterior yard and snow, no matter the season. Villas are definitely having a moment. There are a lot of them being built right now, and there are a lot of different options out there. But obviously, because they're being built, they are in the suburbs. So there's quite a few options, I'd say, in Elkhorn and in Papillion, and then some more limited options up in Bennington. Villas are great for folks who are maybe that one step further from just getting a smaller single family home and moving into a single family home, but just has a little bit more support with the yard and snow. And these tend to be pretty expensive still because they're new construction, but that isn't to say that you aren't able to find one that is more affordable, that might be a little bit older or in a different part of town. The pros with villas is that they are newer, and so there tends to also not be very much interior maintenance because they tend to be newer. So some of the options are Legacy Villas, Pacific Springs Villas, Bellbrook and Papillion. There's the villas at Piney Creek, which is in Elkhorn, and just other places throughout the Omaha Metro. The next option would be a townhome. And so sometimes townhomes are stacked, so you have to be pretty careful if you're wanting to avoid stairs. That would be like a garage is on the main floor, and then you walk up some stairs and you're on the first floor and then a second floor. But then there's also townhomes that are single story or ranches, and these tend to also have just like one step further than the villa of having an HOA that tends to not only do the yard and snow removal, but might also be responsible for the exterior maintenance. That might mean they paint the exterior every few years, or the roof might also be covered in your HOA. So it just is that one more step to have the HOA manage everything for you. There are obviously pros and cons to having a more involved HOA because the HOA then tends to be a little bit more expensive, but it's offering more coverage and more protection and less liability for you to have to take care of, but the HOA takes care of. There are townhomes throughout the whole metro. They are everywhere. And then one step even further is looking at condos. So there are not a ton of condo options in the Omaha metro, but they take care of everything. So obviously you usually don't have any sort of yard, and then they obviously take care of all of the roof, the exterior maintenance, because it's all just owned as the condo. So that is again wrapped up in your HOA, and so that makes your HOA more expensive. But some of these places have outdoor pools, rooftop exterior spaces, and different common area options that are really nice. Some of them have party rooms, a few have tennis courts. So there's just a lot involved here that can make that HOA more expensive, but you really don't have to worry about anything, and it makes living here very easy. So one thing to think about when you're looking at condos is the parking situation. Usually they have covered parking somewhere, and then there's usually like some sort of common area exterior parking, but you also want to check to see how many parking spots are included with each unit, because it can be different in the building depending on the size of your unit. Some of the options for condos in Omaha are the riverfront condos, the J-Loft condos, and those are on the east side of town and downtown. Then there's the Coronado and Swanson Towers, which are more central location. And then there's Mead, which is in kind of like that northwest part of Omaha. So there are a few different options. It's just not plentiful. There's not necessarily a ton of options. If home ownership isn't a priority for you, then there are a lot of different apartment options where you can rent, or assisted living or nursing facilities as well. So some of the factors that I'm talking with people when they're considering downsizing is, what is the best financial choice for you at this time? And what are you really wanting? So as I've described, there's obviously the trade-off between how much you have to still be responsible for and maintain the home, and then the cost of the HOA. There's usually a pretty direct correlation, because some of those condos, they might include even your water and sewer bill. And then there's always the lifestyle preference. What do you want? Do you want to be in a condo where you can get to know the different residents that also live in the condo? Or do you still want to have some of the anonymity that's offered in a single family home where you just are walking around the neighborhood? When I'm talking to folks about downsizing, one of the main things is that they just tend to feel really overwhelmed by the process. And so if that is the case, it's always important to talk with your kids or with your friends to see how if they have any ideas for how to downsize, or if your friends have done it in a certain way that they thought was really easy and manageable. And one of my little tips and tricks is to always just start early. It's really not too early to start going through some of your things. If you are wanting to get rid of some of your items, if you are really wanting to or needing to downsize, it's just to take it super slow. Just start working on one closet and then try to make it into that bedroom. And when people are starting to get rid of things, I always think, would you buy this again? Is this something that you're either one, super nostalgic for and really sentimentally attached to? And if so, then definitely keep it. But if not, and you wouldn't buy it again, then that's a sign that it's time to just kind of let it go and get rid of it. And if you are not wanting to get rid of anything, there's always the option of just renting a storage unit and moving everything that you're not going to take to your smaller home just into a storage unit. Another option is to always hire somebody to help you downsize. There are professional organizers that are absolute experts in this field and will help you work through all of your belongings to decide what really you want to keep and what you don't want to keep. Overall, downsizing is just a really big emotional decision for a lot of folks. Some people have been thinking about it for years, and they are like, let's do it. Just tell me what I need to do. Let's get the ball rolling. And other folks, it is just this big thing that they really need to emotionally work through, which is absolutely normal. Makes sense when you're leaving something behind, especially if you raise kids there. And if you've been just super attached to the house, maybe you've done a few big remodels that you just absolutely love. And so you're not necessarily wanting to move on, but you feel like it's time to move on. And so just take the time that you need to really sort through and think through this process. So overall, if you have any questions about downsizing in Omaha or figuring out where the next spot in Omaha is right for you with what you want from your lifestyle and your budget, please reach out. I am happy to talk with you and help you navigate the stage of life that you're in. My name is Morgan Putnam, and I am an Omaha realtor, and my number is 402-720-9886.